Oh, big topic today. Have you ever found yourself staying with a relentlessly difficult, demeaning, devaluing person, and you're doing it out of guilt or out of obligation or out of duty? And you've got a whole list of woulda, coulda, shouldas, maybes, if only, and that goes on and on and on, and your hope keeps hanging in, and you hope that that person that you fell in love with or that you wish was the ideal mother or even a decent mother or father would emerge. But it's you who has to do the changing and you who has to do the realizing that guilt and duty and shame and desire will not change the situation. So stay tuned for today's show. We're going to talk about these things in depth. Welcome to Save Your Sanity, help for handling hijackals, those difficult, toxic, and often disturbing people in your life. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, the Relationship Help Doctor, and I'm here for you. You'll get the insight, skills, strategies, and support to stop tolerating verbal and emotional abuse, whether it's happening now or it happened to you in the past, maybe by a parent, partner, ex, relative, or even a coworker. Time to take life back, to recover and to rediscover you, your values, dreams, desires, and realize them in healthy ways in healthy relationships. I'm so glad you're here. I know you don't want to be accused of leaving somebody, abandoning somebody at their great time of need. Nobody ever wants to feel that way unless you have some real problem with yourself. But there are times when you just have to wake up and smell the herbal tea and know that maybe you need to have a good look at whether you are enabling this behavior or not. And you don't want to be staying with someone out of guilt or obligation or a sense of duty that is not in your best interest. And I don't mean that from a selfish point of view, as everything has to be in your best interest, but in the best interest of your holistic health, in the best interest of who you are and how you want to show up in the world and how your children are being raised and how you are able to go to work or be the best mom in the world or dad in the world or whatever it is. I'm speaking about that. And if you've been in a relationship with somebody who is relentlessly difficult, one of these people that I call hijackals, then you know the exhaustion of being worn down and torn down. And you may be questioning whether or not I should go or whether I should stay. Or you may be caught in the guilt and the feeling of, oh, well, I promised and all of that. But remember, they promised too. And they were not actually being truthful. Because what happens when you are with a hijackal, a relentlessly difficult person, whether or not they have a diagnosis does not really matter. It's whether they have the patterns, traits, and cycles of these people I call hijackals. And hijackals are people who hijack relationships for their own purposes. They do it selfishly to get what they want. And then they proceed to relentlessly scavenge the relationship for power, status, and control. That means everything is always going to be your fault. They always have to be right. They have to win in every situation. They have out of proportion emotions. They're always finding fault with you. They seem to lack empathy. They're not interested in what you feel or think or need. And the only time they're interested in you is when they really want something, think they're not going to get it, so they begin to love bomb you again. And there are all kinds of things that you can learn about these people. I have a free ebook called How to Spot a Hijackal. Go to my website, transformingrelationship.com. You can get it there. Go and take my course, Seeing the Cycles. You'll find it on my website, transformingrelationship.com. But if you already know, or if you need further proof, and so therefore you're going to go and look at those things, if you already know that you're not being treated well, you never feel well, you're always making excuses or rationalizing or justifying the other person's behavior, this is not good. And if then you're beating yourself up saying, well, I don't want to abandon this person. After all, they've had a terrible childhood, or they're not doing well, or they don't have a job. I mean, remember, you've seen this, no doubt, on Facebook. There's several graphics that say, there is no one who falls in love faster than a narcissist or a hijackal who is out of a job or doesn't have a place to live. They play on your emotions. They play on you being the good person, on you going the extra 26 miles, right? This is very important for you to know, and you need to balance that. And if you need help, I'm here to help you. Just go to beaclient.com and we can talk soon. But I know that you want to be a good person and you don't want to abandon, and you can't remain, though, in a strained relationship with no conceivable healthy future out of a sense of duty or guilt. Whoa, did you just hear that? You cannot remain in a strained relationship with no conceivable healthy future out of a sense of duty or guilt. If you do that, you are just wearing yourself down, saying you don't matter at all. The other person absolutely is the only person who matters. And your children are going to see that model. Is that okay with you? Do you want your children to think that other people have the right to wear you down and tear you down or exhaust you? Do you want your children to think it's okay to be put down, set to the side, not matter? I hope not. So therefore, you have to believe that you don't deserve to be torn down, put down, worn down, or set to the side and always take second place. No. And we need to balance self-compassion with compassion. You need to care as much about yourself as you care about other humans. That balance. Now, you've probably heard other episodes of Save Your Sanity or of my other podcast, Emotional Savvy, the Relationship Help Show. I often say that the hallmark of healthy relationships is found in three things: equality, reciprocity, and mutuality. Equality, reciprocity, and mutuality. And you know what? You are not going to find those with a hijackal. They will not play with those rules. So you know immediately if there's no equality, there's no reciprocity, and there is no mutuality in your relationship is out of balance at a minimum and probably tipped way too far, right? You feeling that right now? So you have to stop enabling this. You have to stop condoning this behavior. And that begins within, with you being able to say, this is not all right with me. I may have put up with it up until now, but in this moment, it is not all right with me. And it's not your job to fix these people. It's not your job to be so understanding that you put yourself down and under. You are not their therapist, and you shouldn't be. And so it's very important that you understand that you are not the cause of their issues. Got that? You are not the cause of their issues. No matter how they blame you, no matter how they make everything your fault, no matter what they say, you are not the cause of their issues. That happened long before they ever met you. And therefore, you just need to be the best you that you can be. To be wise, to be awake, to understand, to know your values, your vision for your life, your beliefs, your next best steps. It's important for you to know that, to be empowered to know that, because you need to be living from that. And you are not the cause of the issues that the hijackal has. Even though they want to make you that, we all know that, right? But you are not the cause. So it's very important for you to do all you can. Yes, educate yourself, listen to lots of podcasts. Go over to my YouTube channel for Relationship Help, FOR, Relationship, HELP. Listen to the videos, understand deeply the behaviors, the likely scenarios, understand what you can do, what you can't do. Really educate yourself. Then get yourself some help. I mentioned earlier, if you want to work with me, I work by video conferencing with clients all over the world. Go to beaclient.com. Be a client. Get some help because you're in it. And when you're deeply in it, you need the perspective that someone else can give you with outside eyes. Someone who is not emotionally involved in the situation. And when you get that kind of help, then you can start to clarify what is okay with me, what is not okay with me. You can start to see where your boundaries need to be. And if they're not there, you can start putting them in place. You need to learn how to do that. I've said a million times, don't poke hijackals any more than you would poke bears. It doesn't help. It really doesn't help. It just puts them in a rage. So don't do it because you'll get hurt. So you need some help to weigh your options, to learn some new strategies and try them out. See what happens. Does this help? You need to empower yourself so that you feel strong, so that you feel clear, that you know what your next best steps are. You know why those are your next best steps. So you need some outside help for that. Then you can weigh your options. What would happen if I did this? How would I feel if I did this? Why would I do that? Get very clear about that. And always, always, always consider your children. Your children matter. They are watching right from the time they draw breath. They are watching and learning. They are finding out if they're important. They're finding out if they matter. They're finding out if they're welcomed. And all of those things are happening long before they have language. So think about this. Work this out immediately. Immediately. Don't let your children suffer any further. And then when you have that clarity, when you are empowered, when you know what you want, you know what you're moving toward, and you know why, then you need to set a timeline. When are you going to make changes? Because you can't stay with a hijackal, a relentlessly difficult person, out of guilt and duty and hope to have a life that makes you want to engage in it. Now, remember my definition of hijackal, because I trademarked that term, is hijackals are people who hijack relationships for their own purposes, and then they relentlessly scavenge them for power, status, and control. So it doesn't matter about the diagnosis. It doesn't matter if they're a narcissist or a histrionic or a sociopath or a psychopath or a borderline. It doesn't matter. Don't worry yourself with the diagnosis. In fact, listen to my show on no diagnosis required. Important for you to understand the patterns, traits, and cycles and say yay or nay to them. I want to live with this or I don't want to live with this. And why? Because you're a good person and you are probably knocking yourself out doing what I call dancing for two. You're trying to make the other person better than they are. You're living in the coulda, woulda, shouldas, maybe, if onlys. And you trap yourself in there. And believe me, the hijackal is unlikely to change. Yes, they may accept some boundaries, maybe some small boundaries, and we always start with the small ones. They may be accepting of a new way to communicate, a little bit. But in most cases, what happens is over time, they go back to their old ways. Is that all right with you? Do you want to live like that? Do you want your children to see that? I may sound a little harsh, but the actual fact is that for people who behave the way hijackals do, there's no medication. The only thing that can happen is that they could recognize that they're hurting you and actually want to change. But they have had so many hurts in their early life that they don't know how to live in a changed fashion. So they may mimic a few changes for a little while, but it's very hard for them to make fundamental changes. Now, of course, if somebody just has occasional hijackal behaviors when they're really angry or pressed or stressed, okay, we can work with that. But if someone is just like that all the time, you have to wake up and smell that herbal tea and say, hey, this is not okay with me. It's not okay with me on any level. You cannot dance for two. You just can't. That other person, if they want to dance, has to go and get lessons. And we call that counseling or therapy. And people who won't get help, who won't engage in understanding your pain, understanding each other, learning new skills, seeing ways not to hurt each other, if they won't get help, and they won't take the help if they get any, then they are saying that they don't care about the relationship. That's really big. They are actually saying, I don't care about the relationship. I like it the way it is because I win. I get what I want. My way or the highway. You don't like it? You're going to be the most awful person on the planet. Not worthy of anything. Nobody else would want you. Everything is your fault. Sound familiar? Sure. So staying somewhere when you're beyond exhausted is not helpful to anyone. it is definitely not going to be helpful to you. It's not going to be helpful to your children. It's enabling the hijackal to behave that way. The hijackal believes that he or she is winning, which is their favorite place to be, and nothing good is happening for you. Are you really ready to see that? Are you really ready to accept that? Because if you're staying out of guilt or a sense of duty, or because you promised a person who was not the person you're living with. Do you recognize that? Hijackals love bomb you. They be everything you want them to be in the beginning, and you believe that you have met your soulmate, died, and gone to heaven. But it is all an act. It is all an act to get you. And once you are gotten, then they begin to do what they want. They begin to behave in ways that just show you who they are. And that is who they are. That person that love bombed you, that person who swept you off your feet, not coming back unless he or she really wants something you don't want to give them. And then you'll know it really is an act, because they only do it when they really want something, just like they really wanted you in the beginning. So what are some things you need to look at? How long have you been struggling with this? Most good people go on for quite a long time thinking, oh, if I love this person enough, if I'm patient enough, if I'm nurturing enough, if I let them know how loved they are, if I let them know I'll always stay, then they'll change. And then they don't change. So how long have you been struggling with this? Have you seen any improvement? Don't kid yourself. I mean real improvement that's sustained over time. Not momentary improvement when they want something or they're afraid you're going to leave them. I mean real improvement, that they treat you better over a long period of time. And you need to go and get some help. And one of the big things that I hear from clients, and because I work through video conferencing, I have clients all over the world, they tell me that they go very hopefully for help, thinking that someone, that mental health professional, therapist, counselor, will see what's going on. And finally, someone will see it, give it a name, and they will get help. But no, hijackals are very cagey. They go into a situation, if they're willing to go at all, with the desire to win. So they're going to charm, manipulate, exploit, seduce the mental health professional into believing them. Almost all my clients have had that experience. Now, the thing about that experience is that if a mental health professional is not very steeped and have the expertise and the experience in the field of seeing hijackals, they won't. In the medical model, doctors are told, when you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras. Now, what that means, of course, is that when somebody comes in and they have these symptoms, you think about the most likely cause. Think about the most likely diagnosis and explore that and try and fix that. But we all know that after a while, if the doctor keeps hearing horses, you can be suffering because you have a zebra condition. And so this is the same thing that happens with mental health professionals. They may be great at horses or some other species that's not zebras or hijackals. And so they don't see it. And so they naturally hear the hijackals say, oh, well, I have to put up with this and it's awful and I feel this way. And they tell stories that are slanted and somewhat untrue. And then you are told that it is your problem. You should change. Have you had that experience? That's a very sad and disheartening experience. And so when I work with people, of course, I'm looking for zebras and hijackals, and I know a horse when I see one. I don't look everywhere for zebras and hijackals, but I also can recognize a horse that just needs water or feed. So it's very important to go to someone with the expertise, otherwise you can feel re-wounded. And sometimes you're already physically ill as a result of being in this relationship. Maybe you've got some autoimmune disorders showing up, fatigue, aches and pains, kind of unknown nausea, things that are going on, headaches, anxiety, things that are going on that are not illnesses. They are symptoms, and your emotional life is exacerbating them. And you need to notice that, because that's the time when you're going to be most exhausted and you're not going to go for help, right? You're going to think it's you. And some doctor may say, well, you've got too much stress in your life and you don't want to step out and be able to recognize that the main stressor is the hijackal. So what do you need to do? Well, first of all, get help. And as I said, if you want to work with me, come to beaclient.com. But then, secondly, enlarge your community. Hijackals love to isolate you, marginalize you, keep you all to themselves so they can define your reality, that thing we call gaslighting. So enlarge your community. Join a group of something that you really enjoy doing. Maybe you enjoy running, or you enjoy dancing, or you enjoy book club or something. Get with like-minded people and expand your community. And know this, that you matter. You deserve to be honored. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to have those 3 hallmarks of a healthy relationship: equality, reciprocity, mutuality. And if you're with a dyed-in-the-wool hijackal, you will never have those. And in order to have a healthy relationship, you must have equality, reciprocity, and mutuality. So that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? So if you are actually staying out of guilt or obligation or a sense of duty or because I promised, know that that person also made a promise and they're not keeping it. And it's important for you to understand that. And please, I can hear you saying in your head, but I'm a person who keeps my promises. Yes, that's wonderful. But you don't keep promises to the detriment of yourself and your children, I hope. I hope that you will act in your own best interest and in the interest of your children and the interest of your health and the interest of your well-being. And I know, because you're a good person, you think, I'll just hang in there, it'll get better. It is unlikely to get better unless you get help and unless the hijackal will engage with you in enough help to find out that the hijackal walks out and says, nothing's wrong with me. And then you can proceed from that place. So please sit back, take a look, and understand that if you are being concerned about being accused or accusing yourself of abandoning the relationship, have a look at that, because you may well be abandoning yourself by staying in it. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, the Relationship Help Doctor. Come on over and find me at transformingrelationship.com or on YouTube at FOR Relationship Help, HELP. Talk soon. I'm so glad you spent this time with me today. I hope you heard something that touched your heart and empowered you to move forward. You can have the life and relationships that you most want, and that begins with you, within you, today. I'm always here for you. Life can get better, and you heard that from me, the Relationship Help Doctor. I'm Rhoberta Shaler, and I work with clients throughout the world through video conferencing. We can talk. So learn more at forrelationshiphelp.com, forrelationshiphelp.com, or visit me on YouTube at For Relationship Help. Join me for next week's show.